Pittsburgh Steeler fans, when you hear that music, you know what's coming. We have some Pittsburgh Steelers breaking news here at Steel Curtain Network, and we're said, hey, let's go ahead and go live. Let's bring in our audience from YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that. This is Dave Schofield, and joining me is Bryan Davis. Bryan, how are you doing on this lovely cut down day?
Oh, I am fantastic. I looked and I found I wasn't cut, so I'm happy.
Hey!
And here we go. Another year around the internet sun.
Yeah, and honestly, remember, and you need to remember this yourself. Just because someone makes the initial 53 still doesn't mean that they're completely safe. It could change, and it most likely will change for the 53 before week one. Some very interesting things, and that's one for sure because it's already come up in the live chat, and that is what we're just going to start, and we're just going to go through it here quickly. This is going to be very, very short. I mean, not very, very short, but short enough. Quarterback. The Steelers keep 4. There is not a move to the reserve/injured list designated to return. Now, there is one other one, and the Steelers could have made 2, but there was always that possibility. Would Will Howard go on IR designated to return? There's the possibility that maybe the Steelers didn't want to have to decide if he's designated to return, but they still want to put him on IR. And the way you can do that is wait until tomorrow and then make the move. Then he doesn't count automatically as one of yours coming back. But it could still be done to where he could stay on there all season, and he doesn't count as one of the 8. I don't know if that's what they're doing. Bottom line is the 4 quarterbacks that they have are Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, and Will Howard. Bryan, are you surprised by what's going on at quarterback?
No, I'm not surprised at all. Look, there is still so much moving around. There's still other teams that need quarterbacks. I'm not saying that's going to happen. You just don't want to show everything that you want to show right now. In fact, I think the Steelers would have been better off not announcing their punters and going ahead and keeping 2 punters. Because then it becomes a possibility that you just can't trade any of these guys. I don't know what they're looking to do, and they're looking for more answers. This is just trying to beat the deadline. They beat the deadline. They did what they had to do, and so there you go. They're there. They're ready to go at quarterback. This is not what it's like. You said this is not what it might look like tomorrow, but this is what they could do and felt they could get away with.
Yes, so this is what they're doing. I would be shocked if the Steelers have 4 quarterbacks. Oh, let's just say beyond the first 2 games of the season. That would really surprise me. I wouldn't be shocked if they want to do it for a week or 2, although I still think that's a move that they could still be making. Jerry Dulac did report that Will Howard was going to go on the IR. The only question was when. So to me, if that report is true, that's why I brought up the situation I did to say maybe they don't want to have to definitely use a designated to return because if you say that now, then it counts as one of your 8 for the year. If you wait the 24 hours and put someone on, well, it's really 20 hours, but still, put someone on IR, you don't have to designate them as return at that time, and then you could make the decision as time goes on. So we'll see how we're going. I see some stuff we're going to talk about from the live chat, but we're going to wait till we get there as we go through position by position. Running back, it was exactly what I expected with the 3 of Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, and Caleb Johnson. Any surprises there, Bryan?
No, of course you had darlings like Lou Nichols and Trey Sermon, and you might see them again on the practice squad, but there was no way that you were going to have a running back room without these 3 guys. So I expected this.
Yeah, and I also expected these 5 wide receivers: DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin III, Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller, and Ben Skoranek. It seemed apparent that it was going to be Scotty Miller, not Robert Woods. Any thoughts on the wide receivers?
Yeah, this leaves the door open, Dave. It really does, because you can go ahead and go with 6, because Ben Skoranek is, I keep on going back to this name. He's Darius Hayward Bay, yes, but he catches a football a whole lot better. Mm-hmm. But he is your special teams extraordinary guy. He's probably going to be a captain one of these days on special teams. And you keep him, but he is not there as a designated number.
As
This
a
also
weapon.
show, yeah.
Yeah.
When I say a number,
Yeah.
I meant that's exactly what I mean. But
Yes.
he's not expected to be a wide receiver. He's break glass in case of emergency wide receiver, just like Miles Killebrew is on the other side. But
Yeah.
this is interesting to me too because everyone's like gotta have a wide receiver one. Well, Metcalf is clearly your one. Your number two could be anybody and everybody or the next group of tight end.
Yes, which we will go tight end. The way that I had this listed out was I said 4 tight ends. Technically, the Steelers put out a graphic where they said 3 tight ends and 1 fullback. You can take that for what it's worth. The way the Steelers use the fullback is as a tight end anyway. So I'm just going to put them all here together. Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, Darnell Washington, Connor Hayward. Now, we've already had a couple people complaining in the live chat about Connor Hayward. I'm going to say this now. If you thought Connor Hayward wasn't going to make this roster, then you weren't paying attention. I still can't believe that people think the only reason he's on the team is because of his brother. That's not true. If you listen to the Black and Gold Blueprint podcast, that's Roy Countryman and Rob. Roy's and Rob have said it. Connor would probably be a number 2 tight end on most NFL teams. But he's on the Steelers that are very tight end rich. He is an extremely valuable guy on special teams. He wasn't going anywhere. And people that actually thought that he might be, I just don't think are very in tune with what the Steelers do.
And really, who else were you going to put in there? You were just going to only have 3 total, but they don't have a fullback, and they want to have somebody listed as fullback as well.
Yeah.
So this doesn't hurt. I mean, he's going to help you more than he's going to hurt you throughout the year.
Yes. And I mean, honestly, if you have someone like that as your 4th tight end, a fullback if you need, and honestly, it's not like none of the other tight ends could actually move into play a fullback as well. I think what the Steelers look for are their tight ends. I mean, Pat Freiermuth, I would doubt it out of all of them. But it's not like the Steelers are looking for something that's a completely different skill set to also be a fullback. It's kind of what they're looking at in their tight ends as an H-back type role. But I'm not surprised. These are things I already had entered in my article, other than 4 quarterbacks so far that I had already listed in my article that I didn't have to change. I just had to make sure I was moving on to other stuff. The only thing that changed for me on the entire offense from what I had predicted was the 4 quarterbacks, including getting to the 9 offensive linemen. But what I wasn't sure there until earlier in the day was, is it going to be Dylan Cook? Is it going to be Calvin Anderson? Is Calvin Anderson healthy, or could he maybe go to the IR? Dylan Cook, it was reported he was going to be released. That report came out earlier in the day. So therefore, I knew it was going to be Calvin Anderson. So the 9 are Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, Troy Fautanu, Spencer Anderson, Calvin Anderson, Ryan McCullum, and Andrews Pete. Bryan, what do you think about the Steelers' offensive line?
It's exactly what I expected, but when I look at it, I go, ooh, not very deep. And I worry about that. I love the late addition of Andres Pete. He is a solid veteran, did some really good things over the years, did some good things coming into the Raiders last year as well. I like having Andres Pete there. That was a good signing. But again, it's nothing that the starters look decent to me. However, if someone goes down, the whole ship could go down. This is your weakest group on the offense.
Well, you have a 6th in Spencer Anderson that can fit in a lot of places. He played as a starter the entire preseason. So to me, you have that. But it depends on where someone would go down. To me, adding Andrews Pete was basically upgrading Max Sharping, who they had last year. That was a bit of an upgrade there. Some people were really down on Calvin Anderson because they look back and think that one snap where he gave up a sack during the regular season. But actually go back and look at the postseason. He came in when Dan Moore went down, and he was actually probably their best offensive lineman in that game in the playoffs, which was not really much of a game, but still. So that's the offense. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, come back, run through the defense, special teams. So stick around. We'll be right back. All right, Steelers fans, here we go. We are rolling through the Steelers' initial 53-man roster to start the 2025 season. This is Dave Schofield. I'm with Bryan Davis. Bryan, this is where things went kind of off the rails for me, and there was some weird things going on. It starts here with the next group, and that group is the defensive line. At one point, I had the Steelers going with as few as 7. Sorry, as few as 6.
Okay.
I should say that when I was doing my estimates with Jeff Hartman. I went up to 7 after it was reported that Derek Harmon is likely to miss week 1, maybe week 2, but not going to go on IR. I thought, okay, they need to keep 7 then, just for that reason. They kept 8. Here are the names: Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Derek Harmon, Y.A. Black, Daniel Ekwale, Isaiah Loudermilk, Logan Lee, and the one that I'm not going to get right, Esezi Otomueyo. There, I did my best. Don't ask me to say it again.
I was going to do my best Yinzer and go, hey, that is easy Otemi Wowo.
Otemi Wowo.
But no, it's Azizi Otemuwo. I think you got it.
Yeah. That was the surprise for me. I didn't have him on any of the many 53-man roster predictions. I didn't have him at all. Jeff was constantly not putting in Daniel Ekwale. They kept him. I didn't want to keep Isaiah Loudermilk, but I know how the Steelers feel about him. And Logan Lee was a guy that I hoped would make it, and ultimately he did. What surprises me isn't who, it's the how many.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen them go 6 before, Dave.
Yeah.
It's really funny here. No, but I think this is a deeper. I think it's also a blue collar line. I like Ekwale.
Yeah,
I like him a lot. I like what he did with the Patriots, and then as a newcomer in Aya Black, is it Aya?
Y-A.
Am I pronouncing it right?
Y-A. It's almost like the letters Y-A, but you kind of say yay instead of A. Y-A.
Okay. Y-A. I like Y-A a lot. I mean, I think
he has what a
beast
wonderful
potential.
Surprise.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's not Daniel McCullers in there. He's
that's Isaiah Loudermilk.
Yeah, well, yeah, that could be true. And Otemuwo, has done good things in Jacksonville as well. I think the big thing is for this entire thing is how does Benton play? How quick do you get back Derek Harmon? But you've got, who you have in a guy like Ekwale? Wormley, Chris Wormley.
Yeah.
Remember that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just, you have a solid no-name guy there that is going to help you out in a little bit. It's weird to see no Montravius Adams for the first time in a long time on here. But I think they're fine here. I think they're fine to do some different things. So the defensive line, yeah, there's a lot of them, but apparently they feel they need to be stronger there and have more of those guys than not.
Yeah, this is the reason it surprises me so much is about 70% of the time you only have 2 defensive linemen on the field. Yet you have 8 on your roster. You've got 4 times more than what you typically have out there. I mean, even if you had 3, you had enough for a first unit, a second unit, and almost an entire third unit. That seems like a lot to me. I don't see any reason to even carry a defensive lineman on the practice squad with as many as you have on the roster. It just seems that one is the one that kind of baffles me a little bit. And it'll make sense, more, 8 defensive linemen, 4 quarterbacks. But when we get to the secondary, you're going to be like, what? But first we got to go through linebacker, which I was not overly surprised about. Outside linebacker went exactly as expected. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, Jack Sawyer. Anything you want to say there quickly?
Nope. That's the way it should be.
Inside linebacker, they kept 5. 4 were obvious. The big question, was it going to be Mark Robinson? Was it going to be Carson Bruner? Were they going to find a way to keep both? Were they not going to keep either of them? And when Mark Robinson was released yesterday, we had our answer. So it's Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Cole Holcomb, Malik Harrison, and Carson Bruner. Anything there?
The only surprise there, Dave, was Bruner. But then again, not that much of a surprise because it's either you keep an old hat around in Mark Robinson or you start again with Bruner. And Bruner just looked very dynamic on special teams. And that's
Yes.
what he's there to be. And he's like Tyler Matakevich. He's there and you don't want to see him. You definitely don't want to see Miles Killebrew on the field unless you have to. You want to see him on special teams. I think Carson Bruner's the guy at linebacker you just don't want to see, but on special teams.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That if he's getting meaningful snaps on defense, then something's not right. So you don't necessarily want to see that. Nothing against him. It's just how it is right now at the beginning of 2025. All right, we have a super chat that I'm going to bring up now. I waited until now specifically. This is from Brian Haynes, also known as, they had usernames on here, Captain Underpants. $2 in the tip jar. Said, anybody really shocked by anything here? I'm not. Honestly, we're getting into where I was. I mean, depends on your definition of shocked. But this was my surprise. The Steelers generally keep 9 or 10 defensive backs. They kept 8. 5 corners, 3 safeties, one of which didn't even play double-digit safeties or snaps on defense last year because he was the special teams captain, and he's now your 3rd safety, which technically I would say is probably your 4th safety because you would count Jalen Ramsey in there. But for I'm just going to read them all because because where does Jalen Ramsey fit? He fits kind of both. But we have Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, Brandon Eccles, Dante Kent, Deshaun Elliott, Juan Thornhill, Miles Killebrew. The notable thing is the players that I did not say. I did not say James Pierre, which surprised me because of the special teams. I did not say Beanie Bishop. He did not make the team, which actually doesn't surprise me because I think he would have been the 3rd option at the nickel corner. But the one that I think surprised me the most is I did not say Chuck Clark. The Steelers have only kept 3 safeties that would be on the safety depth chart in Elliott, Thornhill, and Killebrew. And the other shocker is 7th round draft pick Dante Kent, who didn't play at all in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, and has been hurt for a very long time, lands on the 53-man roster without really showing much of anything. Brian, what are your thoughts on the defensive backs?
Well, first of all, I think he showed promise, and that's why they don't want to get rid of him. I'm also wondering if when he comes back, they want to try him doing some punt returns as well. I think they have some hope for return yardage out of Dante Kent. Now, as far as everybody else, this is where I say not to hold up is what I say. And the reason I'm saying hold up is because we know the quarterback situation is going to change. And that's probably a safety. They feel that, I bet you this team feels that they can get a Beanie Bishop back or they can get a James Pierre back. But as far as safety goes, maybe they think that since they got Chuck Clark so late, that they could bring him back too. So I have a feeling that that they said goodbye, but hey, just go over there for a little bit.
And this is something that's important to remember. Okay, first of all, I'm going to skip ahead. I probably should have said it there. The Steelers did have put 1 player on IR designated to return, and that was Corey Trice. So Corey Trice is still with the team. He was not cut. He was just put on IR. He will miss the first 4 games. So the earliest you could see him is week 6, but that's what the Steelers did there. So when I was thinking there was 1, maybe 2 spots for Pierre, Trice, and Bishop, there's none on the 53 and just 1 on IR is what it ended up being. But when it comes to Chuck Clark, remember, only non-vested veterans have to go through waivers between now and noon on Wednesday. That's players with less than 4 years credited seasons. If you're a player that's gone through your rookie contract, you are on a second contract, you have more than those 4 years, you do not go to waivers. You are a free agent. That is why it kind of messed up some people when these names came out, because some of them had their contracts terminated, some of them were waived. If their contracts were terminated, that's because they were a vested veteran. If they were waived, that means they weren't one. They had to go on waivers for anybody to claim. Chuck Clark doesn't have to sign. No one can claim him on waivers. He wouldn't have to sign anywhere. The Steelers could go up to him and say, yo, Chuck, we're bringing you back. But we don't know if we wanted to keep Will Howard on IR for the whole, he might be there the whole season. He might not, but we don't want it to count as one of our spots. We want to bring you back at the same deal. Don't even answer the phone. They could do that. He has the option to answer the phone. But that he's someone that doesn't that it's not about being claimed. Beanie Bishop, that's a whole different story. Someone wants Beanie Bishop, they put in a waiver claim for him, and they have the top priority of people to put in for it. He's theirs and on their 53, no matter what. So that's important to remember. Anything else you want to say about the defense before we hit the special teams and finish this up?
Yeah, real quick. A lot of people saw the flash of the interceptions with Beanie Bishop, but Beanie Bishop was in the right place at the right time. But a lot of times that size really got the best of them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do find it interesting that the Steelers only used one of their two designated to return. So if it must be that they want to covet them for later in the year, because they count whether that player returns or not if you put them on now, and you get 8 for the year. If you wait a day, then they only count if you bring them back. They don't automatically count no matter what. Last year they had 2. I think it was Dylan Cook and Jeremiah Moon were the 2 that they did last year. And maybe that's why the Steelers didn't want to do that, because last year they brought Dylan Cook back and then cut him and put him on the practice squad, and it used one of those 8. So maybe that had a little bit to do with it. All right, specialists. The news about these guys had been out for a while. And it goes this way. Chris Boswell, not surprised. Long snapper, Christian Kuntz. The good news there is that seems like he's healthy and ready to go, because, I mean, my goodness, the Steelers cut their other long snapper over the weekend, which means they didn't even have him for practices up until today. And then it was Corliss Waitman that ended up winning the punter battle. Bryan, anything you want to say about the specialists?
Yeah, when it comes down to it and you like the value you have in both guys and one costs more, you keep the cheaper option because you don't think that you're going to get anything less out of that cheaper option. So that's what they're doing, keeping Corliss Waitman over Cam Johnston.
Yeah, I don't know that it's all about the money. I don't, because especially right now with the Steelers having so much cap space that they could kind of do whatever they want, and how much they ultimately save, because Cam Johnson's going to count against the cap this year and next year, because he had 2 years left and it's post June 1st. So yeah, you save a little bit more this year, but you're still paying a little bit next year. So I don't know that it's, I mean, you could look at it in that regard. I think, honestly, you got to bring up the whole idea of a left-footed punter. That some coaches really like a left-footed punter because the ball spins the other way. It could create some problems with fielding the punts if that's not what you're used to. I don't know. Bottom line is, both guys seemed like they did a great job. It honestly, no joke, it could have come down to who Boswell was more comfortable as his holder. And Corliss Waitman was his holder for 16 games last season, and Boswell had the best season of his life. Now, he had 6 field goals in the opening game, and I'm not sure how many Johnston held for. How many, before he got injured fairly early in that game. I can't even remember. Do you remember who was holding for the rest of them? I don't even know.
I think it was a backup quarterback. For some reason, I think.
I don't think it was allowed to be Kyle Allen. Or was it Scotty Miller? It might have been Scotty Miller because he was.
You know what?
Because he was on the roster to start the season. I don't know.
Scotty could do it all.
Yeah, he could do
Scotty
it.
Miller.
So maybe someone else out there remembers. It was the first week last year, so maybe it came down to that. So Bryan, this has been. I mean, we went a little bit longer than we expected, but we had to get through all the names. It's funny. There's surprises, but there aren't surprises. I would say my biggest surprises are the 4 quarterbacks, the 8 defensive line, and then who they didn't keep in the secondary. You think that's pretty fair to say?
Yeah, and I think that all might change in the next couple of days too. You don't get too nostalgic for guys lost because they might be coming right back into your room. I think James Pierre, Jimmy P, is the next guy that will just keep us 42 on standby because he's coming back.
Well, and honestly, he could even come back to the practice squad to start. Think about this. He was with Washington during the preseason last year, didn't make the team. The Steelers brought him back to the practice squad initially until they were out of elevations, and then put him on the 53. So that's more than possible with some of these guys. We'll just have to see. Hey, it's not going to be the same 53 that are suiting up as even maybe the 48 come week one. So that's just kind of how it's going to be. But we're going to continue to bring you all our news. We have a breakdown at steelcurtnetwork.com. We've got the contest coming up. That article should be out for people to start signing up probably tomorrow on Wednesday. And then I'll be back live tonight with Big Bro Sco for the Sco Bro Show, but we'll talk a little bit more about the 53. Bryan, is there anything you want to say here to close us out?
Yeah, real quick. Jeff Hartman just put this out that Joe Rudder put out. Of the 48 that were active for the playoff game in Baltimore, only 26 are remaining on the initial 53-man roster.
That does not surprise me one bit. Yeah. So, well, Bryan, hey, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to jump on here, go over this 53-man roster. And as I always say to close out these kind of podcasts, maybe Bryan can say it with me, go Steelers.
There you go. Go Steelers.